If this is your first time on the channel, this is a series called MLB Recap, where we recap the best baseball news from the day before, or in this case, the last 48 hours, because I missed yesterday's recap. I was just kind of tired and I needed a break, so bear with me. Today is going to be a banger. We also have a Cubs prospect that was arrested for selling and transporting the baking soda substance, so I'm sure that you guys can kind of put two and two together. I cannot say the full thing because YouTube will say, hey, you're not going to get any money today. Now, without further ado, the thing I wanted to start off with is Shohei Ohtani is the first player. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. The last time that happened in the regular season was back in 1901. A guy with the last name of Jones was a pitcher and a hitter. Unfortunately, he gave up 6 earned runs. I don't know how well he did offensively. I didn't really pay attention to the stat because I was so focused on Shohei. He is starting the game as a pitcher, and he is starting the game as a hitter. He is the leadoff hitter for the Angels, and I just cannot believe that this guy is actually real. He is a living unicorn. I mean, you should not be able to do what Shohei Ohtani does on a daily basis. It's not human. Speaking of non-human, the Vanderbilt pitchers are just, what are they doing? So 2 days ago, Camargo had a 14 strikeout performance. He's most likely gonna go #1 in the draft, and then his buddy, Jack Leiter, had a 16 strikeout no-hitter on the 123rd pitch. He was throwing 96 to 97 miles an hour. I mean, how are these young guys so good? And then also, while we're talking about what are they putting in the cereal, Mike Trout, I've been wondering what he's been eating for the last decade because he doesn't make sense either. There are so many superhuman talents in Major League Baseball and actually coming up into Major League Baseball, all of the top prospects and even the guys in college. But Mike Trout, after ending the 2020 season with a 993 OPS, I know that was a down year. That's actually below his career average OPS of 1,000. He has somehow figured out a way to improve his swing, and he fixed the kinks in his swing. A 993 OPS is not good enough. My goodness, the rest of the league better watch out. Now, one player that might be figuring out his kinks as well, Matz, a new member of the Toronto Blue Jays, over spring in 10 innings. He has a .9 ERA and 12 strikeouts in those 10 innings. Now, in his last 80 game starts, he has a 5 ERA and a 5 FIP, so he has not been good whatsoever. Maybe a change of scenery is going to be really good for him. So between Mike Trout fixing his swing and possibly Matz fixing his mechanics, hey, I'm down with that. Now, because we just brought up Matz, a former New York Met, let's talk about a current member of the Mets. Francisco Lindor hits his first grand slam as a member of the Mets. Okay, let's move on, please. I'm tired of this. Spain without the S. Look at Matt Chapman doing Matt Chapman things over there at third base. He is so silky smooth. I don't know if he is the best defender at third base, but you can make an argument and you can defend it until you don't want to anymore because that's how good he is. Nolan Arenado and Manny Machado, they're in the conversation, and maybe Cabrera Hayes is going to be in that conversation by the end of possibly 2021, maybe going into 2022. So many good third basemen. And then also, Jansen of the Blue Jays, look how fast his pop time is. I'm going to play it full speed right now.
To a located fastball, it's the best pitch in baseball. Wow. To a located fastball, it's the best pitch in baseball.
That dude caught the ball, and it was at second base in the span of like a second. God. You ever just sit back and think to yourself, man, I could never be that good. I could put in 10 hours a day for the next 10 years, and I won't even be half as good as those guys. And that goes for our next player as well. Trevor Story hits an opposite field home run, but apparently that wasn't good for him either because he makes a web gem over there at shortstop. And I guess the biggest question remains about Trevor Story is, when is he going to get traded? I really hope that the Rockies see the writing on the wall and that they understand that they are not going to be good for the next few years, and even trying to compete with the Padres and the Dodgers, it's just not smart. Trade him while his value is at his highest and get the most in return. Then again, Arenado, they barely got anything, so maybe they shouldn't trade him. There are so many guys in today's video that just don't make sense from a physical human level, like Dustin May, for example, striking out Fernando Tatis Jr. on a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He also has a crazy changeup, slider, curveball, a really good arsenal of pitches. The only thing that he lacks is command. He's almost a poor man's Tyler Glasnow, or some would even say that he's better than Tyler Glasnow. I would not be in that camp of the people saying that Dustin May already is better than Tyler Glasnow, because back in 2019, Tyler Glasnow had a season for the ages. Dustin May has yet to have a pop-off season, so we're going to have to wait for that. Now, sticking with the Dodgers, Gavin Lux, I'm excited to see what he does in the upcoming season because he has been highly touted for quite some time. The Dodgers refused to include him in a trade for Francisco Lindor. That's how much they hold him in high regard, and if he can perform at his high level, I mean, the Dodgers just are going to be... They're going to be World Series contenders until I'm 50. All right, so the moment that you've all been waiting for, the title of today's video, a Cubs player, 25-year-old Jesus Camargo, was arrested on a drive, and he said that, no, police officer, this is not what you think. I am on the Cubs. I am against the anti-doping policy. Well, turns out he is not against that, as he was smuggling 21 pounds of that good stuff, and it's most likely... Yeah, he's probably not going to be in Major League Baseball anymore, as he wasn't very good to begin with. 25-year-old journeyman. I know a lot of people want to have a side gig, kind of like Walter White in Breaking Bad. But yeah, you just can't do that. Nope, can't get away with it. Dogs are going to be called out every single time, and you're busted. So there you go, Cubs player arrested. 25-year-old Jesus Camargo. Now, real quick before we talk about Miguel Cabrera and Kris Bryant, I want to bring up the top farm systems going into 2021. This is according to Major League Baseball. At the number 1 spot, we have the Rays. Really no surprise here. You have Wander Franco and all of the guys that they have on the image in front of you. I mean, it's just really no competition aside from the Mariners, which I can't believe they're at the number 3 spot, and sandwiched in between at the number 2 spot, you have the Detroit Tigers. This is fine. I mean, you have Riley Green and Tariq Skubal and Casey Mize, a lot of prospects, but in my opinion, I'd rather go with Logan Gilbert, Jared Kelenic, and Julio Rodriguez along with Taylor Trammell of the Mariners. I mean, the Mariners might have the number 1 farm system. That's pushing it because the Rays, again, Wander Franco is supposed to be the next big thing. Miguel Cabrera went liftoff yesterday in spring training. He is 13 home runs away from 500 career bombs and 134 base hits away from 3,000. So I guess the biggest question that remains around Miguel Cabrera is not that is he going to be a 40 home run guy. Those days are kind of long gone. He is an old man Miggy. So do we think that he's capable of a 13 home run, 134 base hit year? I believe that can happen. My predictions are that he's going to be about 18 home runs and 147 base hits. What do you guys think? And then also Kris Bryant with his first home run of spring training, which is some pretty good news considering spring training has been going on for almost 2.5, 3 weeks now. And that was his first bomb. Not very good after he struggled in 2020. I'm hoping for a bounce back season. I want to showcase 2 other players real quick. Michael Chavis and Matt Olson. They're both leading spring training with 5 home runs, but Matt Olson is now first in RBIs. We're hoping for a bounce back season from him as well, because defensively, he is one of the best in the game at first base, and offensively with his power, if he can just decrease the strikeouts a little bit and put the ball in play more often, he is definitely a top 10 first baseman. And then Jose Alvarado throwing 101 miles an hour with the nasty off-speed stuff. How are you supposed to hit this? When he's feeling himself and he's strutting off the mound after a strikeout, I mean, he is one of those guys that I would just never want to face. Him, Josh Hader, you have Taylor Rogers of the Minnesota Twins, Aroldis Chapman as a lefty. No thanks. Even James Paxton, because he's like 6'6", 6'7", throws 95, at least back in his heyday. I'm good. So we've talked about Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker. Those dudes have been dialed in so far for college baseball, but Landon Sims, he has 36 outs. Remember that, 36 recorded outs as a pitcher. 31 of those outs have been via the strikeout. So I don't really know how that's possible. I believe he has 12 innings pitched, and again, 31 strikeouts. Those are video game numbers. You should not be doing that. All right, everyone, well, that does it for today's recap. I had a ton of fun. Every day I don't record a recap. I don't really know what's going on in baseball, and a lot of people have been saying, hey, Fuzzy, you cannot miss these recaps because if you miss it, I have no idea what's going on, and I can understand that because MLB Network has been really slow as of late. There's no hot stove. There's not really much happening. Sometimes it's really just, hey, here's a Padres game, here's a Dodgers game, here's an A's game, and it's all blacked out for me, so I just turn off MLB Network. So I'm happy that I can be there for you guys. Hope you all enjoyed. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you all tomorrow for yet another recap. Peace out.